Kurt told this friend of his that he was involved in some kind of satanic cult. He really feared for his life. It was a murder. It needs to be investigated. There's no doubt in my mind that Kurt could have handled himself in that cliff area because he was an experienced mountain climber and he was a diver. So he would not have drowned in the water or fallen down the hill.
I met Kurt because he had evinced an interest in magic. Kurt was real bright and real curious about just about everything.
His involvement with this group can be compared to a drug addiction, where you begin thinking that you've got it in control and you can take it when you want, but gradually losing that sense of knowing when to stop until you're a junkie.
I do not make any attempt to control people's lives. People are free to come and go at their own discretion, just as Kurt did. If anything, the emphasis that we have is on individuals taking control of their own lives.
Kurt McFall, murdered by a cult or slip and fall. 17-year-old Kurt Thomas McFall was a smart, well-spoken, curly-haired, popular kid who made friends easily. He loved anything to do with computers and was also an experienced mountain climber and diver. He also liked to play Dungeons & Dragons. Kurt was born on December 9, 1966 in San Diego, California, to Tommy Keith McFall and Joanne Marjorie Svoboda. His parents had divorced, and he was living in a townhouse in Concord with his dad. In high school, Kurt was a member of the Society for Creative Anachronism, and they'd hang out dressed in costumes and practice sword fighting in the parking lot of an Oakland subway station. By the time his senior year came around, Kurt was getting more and more into SCA.
Kurt was here about twice a week through February and into March of '84. Learned how to fight. He was good, quick, talented. Really going to be very good at the game. We were real pleased with him. His death certainly had nothing to do with any part of his participation in the SCA that I knew anything about.
He was really into the accoutrements of SCA, including his sword and suit of armor, and unbeknownst to his father, joined a separate paganist group, headed by a much older man named Gabriel Cardoc Carlillo. On Saturday, September 8, 1984, Kurt drove from his home across the Bay Bridge into San Francisco. He told his father he was staying with a friend and would be home the next evening. Unfortunately, Kurt would never make it back home. The person that Kurt went to see was Cardoc. According to Cardoc, the two had dinner and went to a movie. At around midnight, Kurt went swimming at Ocean Beach, a few blocks from Cardoc's apartment. They then went back to the apartment. Kurt was restless and able to sleep. At around 3 a.m., he left the apartment claiming that he was headed back to the Ocean Beach. The next evening, Kurt's car was found abandoned on a golf course overlooking the ocean. Kurt's driver's license was on the floor and his keys were on the seat. A $20 bill was in the glove compartment, and the suit of armor which Kurt had made for sword fighting was missing from the trunk. There was also beer bottles scattered in and around the car. At 10:15 a.m. that Monday, two men were bird watching when they spotted a half-naked and bruised body on a remote beach below the cliffs of the San Francisco Bay. This was below where Kurt's car had been found, and less than 2 miles from Cardoc's apartment. The body turned out to be Kurt. Kurt's body was in fairly good condition, fairly pale, which indicated that he probably was in the water for an extended period of time. No obvious external trauma. He had no shoes, socks, or shirt. His back and shoulders were covered with cuts and abrasions. The belt he wore was missing its buckle. The autopsy stated that there was no drugs or alcohol in his system. It also stated that Kurt died of multiple traumatic injuries of unknown origins, as well as severe blood loss, which was said to be consistent with a fall. Kurt's cause of death has been ruled as unknown. Kurt's dad knew that there was foul play involved.
The car has to be a phony scene. To me, that was set up because Kurt did not drink beer. That's also inconsistent with the autopsy report that shows that there was no signs of alcohol or drugs. So that looks very suspicious. It was a murder. It needs to be investigated. There's no doubt in my mind that Kurt could have handled himself in that cliff area because he was an experienced mountain climber and he was a diver.
My personal theory is that Kurt stumbled onto some information that he wasn't supposed to know about.
Kurt told a friend of his that he was involved in some kind of satanic cult and that he wanted out, but he thought that they might kill him. He really feared for his life. Kurt's dad also talked to the coroner and asked him what he think happened. The coroner told him that he thought Kurt's death appeared to be a homicide, but he did not have enough proof to rule it as such. 2 months after Kurt's death, a woman contacted police fearing for her life. She claimed to have been involved in a coven and named 2 people who were threatening her. These same 2 people were allegedly named by Kurt in a letter 1 month before his death. He allegedly stated in that letter that the 2 were evil beyond belief. Murdoch denied any involvement in Kurt's death. He passed away in 2007.
If I wanted to murder somebody, the last person I would murder would be somebody who was staying at my house and whose father knew that he was staying at my house.
Kurt's death remains unsolved.
Kurt may have uncovered something in the organization and may have indicated to people that he was going to expose this.